What's going on, guys? So we got Perth Pro Players team member Jason Stubbs here. He just took first place at the Beyond Store Championships with
Bulma.
Almighty Bulma.
Bulma. We came third in the last one. We came first today, so we had to
He's
do
made
it. We won nice trunks and a Kefla, so very good. Bulma is a near and dear leader to my heart. Been around for ages.
Every
all the
set.
yellow and red Saiyans and Earthlings blocker. Draw a card on there. Untap 2. Flip over. Same blocker, permanent. Draw 2 cards on the back. 10k. 10k
Insane.
back, 5k front.
Insanely hard to get through.
Sounds like, it's a 5, 10k leader. It's going to be like nothing.
Yeah.
Nah. This is an ironclad wall, this deck.
When do you even get to swing at the leader? Like, honestly, that's the true
It's like,
question.
until I awaken, all the attacks to the leader, and then nothing after
Yes, exactly right. Exactly right.
All right.
All right, let's get into it, man.
So we'll quickly get into the deck. We'll go through the 1-drop package. We have Goten, Journey's Beginning. Search top 5 for a 3 or less Saiyan. So searches most of the key parts, your super combos, or your 3-cost Unison, which is very important. You want that on your turn 3 when you awaken, or whenever you do awaken. There were a couple of times today I delayed playing the Unison because I wasn't going to awaken that turn, didn't want to get tapped out.
Yep.
And then we have 2 copies of Baba. Insanely valuable card. Searches the deck for a Bandages, Spike, or Sun Gohan. Puts it in the drop and then plays one of them from the drop. We have 2 of those, and we're so happy when we see them. And to accompany Baba, we have 2 Bandages, and that's where the chain ends. So the auto is completely irrelevant. It's just 2 blockers for 1 energy.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very,
It's
very
resummonable,
efficient.
So it's fantastic.
Yep.
Sad when there's not a Bandages in the deck, because sometimes we take out one of the Bandages, and unfortunately it did come up that the other Bandage was in the life. So
Yep.
that was a bit sad, but
Is what it is. This is the most annoying one.
The God tier 1-drop barrier blocker.
Yep.
Puts in working against blue. Didn't play a single blue deck today. On play, draw a card. It's just a really annoying blocker that your opponent can't deal with.
Yep.
Pretty straightforward. Everyone who plays Bulma knows about that card now.
Incredible, honestly.
And then the new spice that's sort of come back in, Videl. She is both Saiyan and Earthling because of her permanent, so it gets in the way of some things, but in other things it's pretty good. So her effect when you play it, you bottom deck basically any card in your deck, red Saiyan or yellow Earthling, put it at the bottom of the deck, and then add a 3-cost or less Saiyan from your drop back to your hand. So incredibly strong. Can cycle herself because of her permanent, making her Saiyan.
Yep.
You can get back your super combos, you can get back your Goten searches, you can get back counter plays. This card's just so good. It does feel pretty unfair when you start cycling super combos, but it's just incredible.
You can show people, as we go through the deck, you can say what can be brought back and what can't.
End of the 1-drop package, 2 Fest Son Goku. This card is really good when it comes up. We played a lot of aggro decks, so it wasn't as relevant because we didn't have many blockers on board or anything like that. On play, draw a card. If my opponent has 3 or more energy, it becomes a 25k. 1-drop 25k that can either attack or be a blocker. It's pretty good. Keeps that power boost for 2 turns.
Yep, perfect.
Incredibly valuable card. That's the end of the 1-drops. We go into the 2-drops. Have to play Raditz super combo. So good. Bottom deck, draw 2. Cycle the whole deck. You draw so many cards. You see everything.
Yep.
At a key point, we comboed one of these and we drew 2 more, so it was like that definitely
Very
sealed
nice.
the game, which was incredible.
Very nice.
It's just a staple red super combo for basically every deck but GT because they play Krillin. And some of them probably.
Yep, still play.
For the remainder of the 2-drop package, we have 4 of the Bunny Girl Bulma. Again, absolutely incredible card. Super broken in this deck. You can resummon your Barbas. So you resummon any Earthling only cards, so you resummon Barbas. You can't get the Videl. Whenever an Earthling that is a non-Bulma card is removed by a skill.
Yep.
So it's just so easy to also bait your opponent into removing things to play this. Just an incredible card.
So good.
You get so much value.
The fact that you can also grab Videl back as well is just...
You can't get...
Yes. The counterplay Videl.
Later,
the counterplay Videl that's coming later. That's just incredible. It's just a neg 40k for free, pretty much.
3 copies of Vegeta Resolve Renewed. 3 cost becomes a 1 cost when I have 3 or more energy. So it's a bit sad when you're going second against aggro because you're like, oh, this is irrelevant. But it stops at 15k or less, so it hits a lot of floodgates. For certain red matches, it hits the Videl counterplay as well, so they don't get the neg, which came up today and it was huge. And then it's a blocker once it's on board as well. Really strong. Excellent card. You can recycle it with the Videl as well. So it's mandatory 3 of minimum. We'll skip this card for now, seeing it's part of the Unison step. We've got 3 copies of Topo. Topo just like drains the life out of your opponent because you Topo them and then they're like, there's 8 blockers if I want to try and attack here. So they pitch so many cards or they just give up and pass turn.
Yep.
Phenomenal card. There's not a huge number of counterplays in the format at the moment that hit it as well. Because Resolve Renewed doesn't hit it. Gamma 1, Gamma 2 is only playing the Android 18 rather than this. So if they don't have a 2-cost Unison, they can't really stop it. And then like yellow has to cooler it pretty much, so it's really good.
It's huge, yeah.
Puts in so much work. And then the end of the battle cards, we have 1 copy of Heartfelt Plea. You play it off of the 1-drop Goku, so 1 energy, 25k, swing it, go into this. Didn't play it at all today, but when it comes up, it's like, woo, very good. Offering, draw a card on the Critter Life, and then a triple strike 30k. So quad striker or it draws you 2 cards on your Awaken, and then you draw 2 more cards with the leader. Very
Absolutely
good.
huge.
And then the last battle card package, we have 2 copies of GT. This card is pretty much primarily bait and a way to boost markers on your Unison.
Yeah.
Play it for 3 from under the Unison, Spirit Boost 3, neg the board 30k, and then it's a triple attacker. It's also then a blocker as well if you swing twice and leave it up. And then you can tuck it back under the Unison provided you haven't used that effect to boost the Unison again.
Yeah, which is insane. Yeah,
Very
insane.
good.
So good.
Speaking of the Unison, we have 4 copies of Baby Juvenile Parasite, and my god, this card is insane. You always want to Awaken the turn you're playing this, or have Energy Open if you're not able to Awaken. Permanent, if you're tapped out, you gain 1k, so your leader kind of is a 15k, so it makes it easy to combat out of attacks. If it would lose a marker, you can pitch a card from underneath it instead, so it's incredibly hard to kill. We played a Sin Shenron matchup and it had about 8 cards underneath it, so it was just never dying. +1, draw a card, choose one of my opponent's battle cards, place it under this card, and then gain 10k power. It's non-discriminate removal, and it's exactly what this deck needs. It's just so good.
Insane.
And you know, you can put the GT trio underneath it to give it a marker so it's harder to kill.
Absolutely insane. It's such a good Unison. Like, I think it's a Unison that all red players probably love.
Exactly. And then to go along with this Unison, we have the Videl counterplay that we were talking about before.
Yep.
Counterplay, auto Spirit Boost 1 if my leader is red or a Hellrun's card. Choose 2 things and neg it 20k. This is huge removal. We played against Jiren. This is really good for their 5-drop. And then if we get board cleared as well on this, we can then Bunny Girl and we can play another one.
Yep.
So against Red U7 that we played today, we window 1 to Videl, had it die, it negged 20k, Bunny Girl, played it back from drop, Spirit Boosted again, killed the 8-drop before it got to swing.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
It's an insane card. I wouldn't be surprised if they do something about that interaction because it's so much value for zero
Very,
energy.
very strong, hey.
And then to go along with our Unison, we have 1 copy of King Piglet and Ruler.
Mandatory.
You're playing a Unison, you got to play this card. It's so good. It steals you games when you shouldn't be allowed to. Everyone knows what it does. Unblockable now. Really good for the mirror match. Really annoying for the mirror match. 20k double. Play it for free.
I missed it at 4.
I did too. You never played it at 4. You played it at 2.
2.
Like,
that's all you needed, but it was so good. So good.
in the main deck, we have 1 copy of Vegito Unison of Might. This card is entirely in the deck for the -2. You never use either other skill.
Yep.
Because so many decks play things off the skill. So -2 till the end of your opponent's next turn. If they play anything with a skill, goes to the drop instead. Shuts down Gamma, shuts down U7, shuts down Jiren if you can get it out, shuts down GT, everything.
Pretty much every day.
And it's a
now.
20k, and like, yeah, it's just a really good Unison.
Yep.
If you really want to and they're not playing things on skills, you can use the +1 to like play blockers and things, be that toxic guy, but nah. Just for the -2. And then just to rub in the toxicity, 1 copy of Bardock in the deck, on play, deflect, add 3 markers to the Unison, so you just add 3 markers to Vegito.
Yep.
And then you play a 1-cost Videl and you add this back to from drop to hand because it's a 3-cost Saiyan. And then you play it again and you just loop these 2 cards over and over.
Yep.
And yeah,
And
it's
then watch your opponent cry.
so mean. It's fantastic. So mean. We then have 3 copies of Violent Rays in the main because sometimes people like to Quetzalcoatl you and you need another out.
Yep.
So Violent Rays is also a really good way to shut down turns when you can't Topo them or you can't Bunny Girl into more blockers, anything like that. And you can stop Unisons with it as well. It's just Violent Rays. Everyone knows what it does. It's like a mandatory red card at this point.
Yep. Incredible against Dripku as well.
We have 2 copies of Testing the Opposition. Really strong blocker negate. More blockers for the deck. Lets you self-awaken yourself as well if your opponent's being mean. Yeah, it's just an insane card. Again, mandatory in pretty much every deck that can run any of those cards. Mainboarding 2 copies of Difference of Status. We brought that in after the last store champs because everyone was starting to figure out what the deck does, and everyone started putting in Black Marseille because it hits so many decks in the format now. And so this is a 0 energy answer to Black Marseille. Against yourself today, you play 2 Black Marseilles on me in a turn. You're like, yeah, I'm sick. We'll now swing. We Difference of Status and we removed 1 marker and got rid of both.
Yep.
And it's just so good. It's the only answer I could think to put in the deck that was a free answer to BMS. Everything else had to be on board. We considered the 1-drop Barber that boosts the leader and then you combo it and draw a card and -5, but this was just ended up being so much
Too
better.
strong. It's
Yeah.
so strong. And I was not expecting it at all. That's the worst part.
SCR for the deck, the God Rare. I don't have the regular one. I wouldn't, even if I did it, I'd probably still be playing this at this point. This card is incredible. It's insane. It does so much. 4 energy, play it, neg the leader 5k. Now your leader can attack things safely. 25 sparking, never shows up. The closest I got was like 23, so I never had dual attack, but still triple strike, deflect, and then activate main, remove it from the game, choose all my opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and their unison, put it in the drop, and crit 1 of their life. I played this card for 4 and then just activated that effect so many times today because it's just that strong. Like even if you don't swing it, because we played against yellow a couple times and they could final flash it or something, so you just pay it and then you get rid of it.
Yeah, it's
And
so
then
good.
like your entire board of like 10k blockers can swing lethal at your leader after that. And 1 copy of Double Strike Champer because why not?
You have to.
We took 1 game off of a unison swing with this today because it was against yellow, and so they tried to final flash me. I'm like, it's a unison swing.
Can't final flash that unison. So it's real nice.
Yeah, so that's the main deck.
All right,
Very
onto the
strong.
side.
There's so many answers already in main deck, so the side is just improving for certain matchups. We have another Difference of Status because people side in BMS, and it's like, all right, we'll just get rid of it.
Yep.
Very strong card. It also came up against Sin Shenron. We counterplayed their SCR, put it down to 15k, and then we Difference of Status after that
Just to kill
to
it.
Spirit Boost to kill it, so
Why
they didn't
not?
have the blocker for the turn.
Why not?
Which is very good. 2 copies of Broly Crown. Incredible card again, recyclable with the 1 cost Videl, so 2 crowns becomes 4 crowns. Only brought it in once today against Helku, and it just put in work. Next we have 2 copies of Android 17, was in the main deck, never found myself playing it, so this was swapped out for the 2 Difference of Status.
Yep.
But it's just another way to recycle the 1-drop Videls or get your blockers out. It's still really good, but if I want to pay 2 energy, I'd rather play a Topo, or we just save it for a Vegeta counterplay and a raise.
For sure.
It's in the side if you need it, but don't need it. It's mainly for like mill matchups, so you can get the Videls back once you run out of them.
Yep.
2 copies of SSB Kaioken. It's a board wipe. Never came up, never necessary because the unison already does so much clear. Activate main, you neg something, 25k ignoring barrier. It's good for Black Hatchak if anyone plays it because they now play the 4-drops in Shenron.
Yep.
Xeno, so that's a good answer to that, but it didn't come in today. Getting towards the end, we have 2 copies of Deborah Ritual at hand. It's just a win more card against green. You don't need it, but oh my god, it feels good when you find it. Especially if they like hit you with a boo, you swing and you like drop one of these.
Yep.
So you haven't actually discarded cards. Very good, strong card, mandatory sideboard piece pretty much for just about all decks. And then to bring the pain for the decks that like it, we have 2 more Vegetos inside for that sweet -2.
Yep.
Just shuts down so many decks. Another Bardock, so it's easier to cycle them. You don't have to find the Videl just to be able to cycle it, and we have a second target to find in deck. Again, just for that pain, we have 2 copies of Jiren for blue, because they play Turning the Tide, because the games always go long enough that someone's going to deck out.
Yeah.
So you have this, so you don't discard. Sure, they refill their deck, but they have no hand. Incredible. And the final card is an Overrun, which is new to the side, just for those games where I feel like I need a bit more aggression.
Yep.
Didn't come in at all. Didn't ever feel like it was going to be necessary to push harder, because we won all of our game 1s today, so it was more just play safely.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. There we go, guys. So any shout-outs before we get going, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the team sponsor, Team Card Titan. Hit them up if you ever need product. They stock everything now, and they're always real quick turnaround, good prices. Shout out to Beyond for hosting today's event because it was a sick event. We took first, so we're always happy. Shout out to the team for the support. All the boys except for Ash were here today.
Awesome, there we go, guys. So there's your first place store champions deck profile. Absolutely incredible. Bulma is a powerhouse of a deck. Hope you guys enjoyed the profile. If you did, please remember to subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Peace, guys.